You know how a song gets stuck in your head. Everyone does. It plays for a few hours, maybe a day, and then it fades. In the summer of 1996, a melody from a children's game got stuck in 9-year-old Kenji's head. The Game Boy was off. He'd turned it off hours ago. He'd taken out the batteries. He put it in another room. And he could still hear the song, not remembering it, hearing it. A song you can't get out of your head is normal. A song that keeps playing after you've turned it off, pulled the batteries, and left the room isn't a memory anymore. It's something else, and it did not want to leave. This is the story of the melody that made children sick. In 1996, Japan fell in love with a game about catching monsters. Pokémon, 2 little cartridges, red and green, traded in every schoolyard in the country. Bright, friendly, joyful. The biggest thing to ever happen to a generation of kids. Remember how joyful it was. The game was a happy journey across a colorful world, until you reached a certain town. Lavender Town, a quiet purple place built around a single tower, a tower full of graves. It was where the game's dead Pokémon were buried. The first time a children's game had asked kids to think about death, and it had its own music, a short looping melody, high and strange, unlike anything else in the game. For most kids, it was just unsettling. But then, across Japan, something started happening to some of them. Headaches, nosebleeds, trouble sleeping. And it was almost always the same age group, kids between 7 and 12, young ears, ears that can hear frequencies adult ears have already lost. The reports gave it a name that spread through Japan like a rumor: Lavender Town Syndrome. Before I tell you what happened to Kenji, you need to understand how the melody worked, because the kids who got sick all followed the same pattern, in the same order, 3 stages. And what makes this different from every story we've told is that this monster is a sound. You don't see it coming, you already let it in. Stage 1, the loop. The melody is short, a few seconds, repeating, designed to stick, and it did. Kids left Lavender Town, kept playing. But the song kept playing too, in their heads, humming it without meaning to, tapping it out on their desks at school. Stage 2, the frequency. Buried under the melody, the Japanese version carried high-pitched tones, sounds too high for most adults to hear, but perfectly clear to a child. Hours of it pressed straight into young ears through headphones. Then came the headaches, the nosebleeds, the sleeplessness. And stage 3, the one parents couldn't explain. The kids started hearing it when it wasn't playing. From an empty room, from a Game Boy that was switched off. In the silence, right before sleep, the song had stopped needing the game. The loop, the frequency, the echo. Keep those 3 in mind, because Kenji made it all the way to stage 3, on he was the one who figured out where the song was trying to take him. Kenji's account came out decades later, when a researcher tracking Lavender Town Syndrome found him as an adult. He was 9 in 1996. And like every kid in Japan, he played Pokémon everywhere, but especially at night, under the covers with headphones, so his parents wouldn't know he was still awake. He remembered reaching Lavender Town clearly. Most kids remembered it clearly. The music stopped him. It wasn't scary exactly, it was wrong. Cheerful notes arranged in an order that made his chest feel tight. He turned the volume down, but he didn't stop playing. That was stage 1, though he didn't know it. The melody had already looped enough times to live in him. For days after, he caught himself humming it, in class, at dinner, walking home. His mother asked him to stop. She said it was a sad little song and she didn't like it. He told her he couldn't, not wouldn't, couldn't. Every time the room went quiet, the song filled the silence on its own, like water finding the lowest place. He was 9 years old, and he had started to understand something no 9-year-old should have to, that a sound could be a kind of prison. Here's the part that should have been the end of it. Kenji stopped playing. His mother took the Game Boy away after the second nosebleed, put it in a drawer. Problem solved, she thought. No more game, no more song. But the song didn't come from the game anymore. That was stage 2, arriving quietly. The headaches got worse without it, as if his brain was reaching for the melody and hurting when it couldn't find it. He slept less. When he did sleep, he dreamed of the purple town, the tower, the graves, and the song playing over all of it, slower than he remembered, deeper. He started sleeping with the lights on, not because of the dark, because in the dark, with his eyes closed, the silence was loudest, and the silence was where the melody lived now. His mother found him one night sitting up in bed, hands over his ears, whispering, "If I can hear it." Can it hear me? The last night Kenji heard the song the way it wanted to be heard was the night he reached stage 3. And this is where a melody stuck in a kid's head becomes something that seems to be doing it on purpose. It was past midnight, the house was silent, and the melody was playing clearly from downstairs. Not in his head this time. In the air. He followed it because you follow a sound, that's what ears are for, down the stairs toward the living room where the family's television sat. Off, dark, and the song was coming from it. He stood in front of the dead television, and the melody, the one that had looped identically for weeks, changed. It slowed, it dropped in pitch. And in the low, warped notes, for just a moment, Kenji swore he heard the shape of words, not a language, but intent, like the song had been trying to say something for weeks, and had finally gotten close enough. He never told the researcher exactly what he thought the words were. He would only say this: the song wasn't stuck in his head by accident. It was a set of directions, and it was almost finished giving them. What broke the spell was his mother. She found him standing at the television at 1 a.m, reaching toward the screen, and she screamed his name. The sound of his own name, he said, was the first thing in weeks. That was louder than the song. His parents took him to a doctor the next day. The doctor found nothing wrong with his ears. Nothing wrong at all. But that same year, and this part is real, Nintendo did something they have never fully explained. Which brings us back to Kenji in his bed, the Game Boy off and across the house, still hearing the song. The loop that wouldn't stop. The frequency pressed into young ears. The echo that outlived the game. He wasn't imagining it. Thousands of kids across Japan reported the same 3 stages in the same summer from the same few seconds of music. And here's the detail that turns a scary story into something harder to dismiss. The melody these children couldn't stop hearing was quietly removed. When Pokemon left Japan and came to the rest of the world, the Lavender Town music was different. Softened, the high frequencies gone. Nintendo never announced it, never explained it. They just changed the song. As if someone had realized that the original version was doing something to the children who heard it, and quietly made sure the rest of the world would only ever hear the safe one. Let me be honest about what's real here, because this is the part that stays with you. The Lavender Town Syndrome, the mass sickness, the deaths, that's a legend. There's no proof it happened. But 2 things are completely true. 1, the original Japanese Lavender Town music did contain high-frequency tones that adults largely can't hear and children can. That's been analyzed. It's real. And 2, Nintendo did change the music for the international release and quietly altered it in Japan afterward too. That's documented. They have never said why. The most popular children's game in history rewrote one specific song and never told anyone what was wrong with the first one. So was the melody really dangerous? Almost certainly not the way the legend says. No town of dead children, no killer frequency, probably. But Kenji was real. The researcher met him, recorded him, sat with a man in his 30s who still would not wear headphones, not ever. At the end of the interview, she asked him the obvious question, "Do you still hear it?" Kenji was quiet for a while, then he said, "Not for years," and she started to pack up, relieved for him. But as she reached for the recorder to turn it off, he stopped her. "Wait," he said, "leave it running a second. Leave it running a second. You hear that?" The recording has been analyzed since. There's nothing on it.